My name's Angelo, and welcome to We Want Picks. I'm going to break down the entire UFC Paris fight card, giving you my picks, predictions, and DraftKings plays. But before I do, let's look at the wild success that is our premium membership and our premium members. If you don't know, we have a $10 premium membership. It's going to get you DraftKings ownership projections, an optimizer that will build lineups for you. It's going to give you detailed breakdowns of every fighter, where they should sit in your lineup, what their salary looks like, and all of that. It's $10 a month for that and everything else that we do, and you can unlock that at WeWantPicks.com. Click Become a Member at the top, and it's working. Our premium members have won over $262,000 in the last couple of months. This is about 3 months worth of tickets, and it's absolutely incredible. Everything from $100 win, $200 win to $78,000, $50,000, $30,000. Last week at UFC Singapore, we had a $35,000 ticket from Squirts. These are tickets only from premium members. It is not a coincidence that we have $262,000 in DraftKings winnings in the last 3 months. And these are only the people who sent us their tickets. This doesn't include the hundreds, maybe thousands of people not sending the tickets because they're just winning some money and moving on with their day. You can join these people. You can unlock all of the tools and information that they have and hopefully be as successful as they have become. The context here is what's incredible. Right here, Hockenwind won $16,000 in DraftKings. He said, I won the Rainmakers UFC VIP package. No joke. Used all the analyst tools and fighter breakdowns in We Want Picks and nothing else. Again, this is not a coincidence. This is happening week in and week out. Become a premium member today at WeWantPicks.com. Just click Become a Member at the top. And that premium membership gets you insight, tools, and information. One of the things you're going to get is the best ownership projections in the game. If you play DraftKings and you're trying to make some real money and you're doing these large GPP tournaments and chasing those giant payouts, ownership projections are some of the most important things you could possibly have. And you're going to get it week in and week out. And it is quite literally, objective fact, the best projections in the game. If you go to some of these large companies like an Awesemo, like a Roto Grinders, they're going to charge you a fortune. And their numbers just aren't as good as ours. It's that simple. I pay somebody, a little math wizard, behind the scenes to put together these numbers, put out these projections, and it's working. Once you're a premium member, you unlock everything we do, whether it's DraftKings or otherwise. And in the DraftKings section, you're going to get our breakdown of who should be in your cash core, who should be your GPP core, who are the live dogs, who are the leverage plays, who you should fade. And this cheat sheet, which is not populated right now, will be populated every single Friday afternoon after the weigh-ins, after everything's said and done, with the ownership projections, the scoring projections, the leverage plays, and all of that data will also be loaded into the optimizer. This DraftKings optimizer is going to build lineups for you, to build 150 lineups for you. And yes, there are different optimizer options out in the world, but the reality is the optimizer is only as good as the data inside of it. It's a calculator. And if you've loaded that calculator with bum predictions, it's not going to do well. But thankfully, as I just explained, we have the best ownership projections in the game. So this optimizer is loaded with the best possible data on planet Earth, and it's going to put you in the best possible position to win. It's only $10 a month. This pitch is far too long considering how affordable this entire suite of services is. Just go to WeWantPicks.com, click Become a Member at the top, and you will instantly unlock everything you have ever needed to have some fun and have success betting on, playing, watching DraftKings Fantasy UFC. Let's go ahead and break down probably the shittiest card of the year. I think we can agree this card sucks, right? And part of the reason it sucks, first of all, it may deliver actually as far as entertainment is concerned. So when I say it sucks, I don't know if it sucks yet, right? These fights might all be bangers. When I'm saying it sucks, there are 11 fights, so there are 22 fighters. I believe 9 or 10 of them, almost half of the fighters on this card, have either never fought in the UFC or the last time they fought was 3 years ago. That makes everything that much harder because we just don't know what they're going to look like in a giant arena. We don't know what they're going to look like fighting actual fighters. This is basically Dana White Contender Series on steroids, and I have seen all of you scream and cry and pant when the Contender Series fights just go awry. And that's what happens when you get regional untested people. But let's go ahead, break down this card. Opening up the card, we have Zarah Fairn. She's taking on Jacqueline Cavalcanti. Zarah Fairn looked like shit at weigh-ins, just FYI. She made weight, but she looked terrible. This is at 140-pound catch weight, and she looked terrible making that weight. She's about 40 years old. She already struggled with cardio and endurance, but the reality is she's a very technical, very good striker. She comes out like a bat out of hell, and she looks good for about 3 minutes. And then her age catches up to her. She slows down. She sort of gets picked apart. She sort of gets beat up. But very good technical striker. She's big. She's strong. And again, I cannot emphasize enough, her straight-up technique is going to be better than Jacqueline. She will have the better technique. She will be the better fighter. But she's old. She's slow. And she's getting beat to the punch. She's taking on Jacqueline Cavalcanti. No data. What a surprise. One of the 275 fighters on this card that have never fought in the UFC. But she's a rangy striker. She does use her footwork and her feints to manage that range. She does a good job lighting up your legs early to slow you down and then work to the head. She keeps her striking technical, and when she does find a rhythm, she's going to start moving forward, start really picking up the pace. She's definitely a striker. She's not going to shy away from cage control or the occasional takedown. $9,400 is a lot of money to spend. I originally was very anti-spending that money, but seeing how bad Zarah looked at weigh-ins, she already had cardio issues. She already had endurance issues. And then now she's barely making weight. She needed 2 attempts, and she looked that bad. Jacqueline Cavalcanti may come in here, may light her up, may get her against the cage, drag her to the ground, and potentially finish her. Zarah Fairn has been finished before. She's hard to finish in a straight-up striking match because she's always going to be, or almost always going to be, the better striker. But if you can get her to the ground and she's tired, you can beat her up. So I don't know if I'm going to spend the $9,400. I certainly do think Jacqueline's going to win. I'm far more confident in her winning now than I was just a few days ago. I was nervous before. She's a UFC debut. She doesn't have a lot of experience. And Zarah, I'm positive, will be the better striker. But seeing Zarah at weigh-ins really reinforces the fact, all right, listen, she had cardio issues to begin with. This weight cut's not going to help that, and she's 40. So reality is Jacqueline probably wins this fight. $9,400. If you think she's going to get some takedowns and beat her up and potentially get the finish, then that money is worth it. Then we got Farid Basharat taking on Kleydson Rodrigues. Farid Basharat, unfortunately, doesn't score very well. So he's going to win this fight. I'm very confident in him to win this fight. He should not be in your DraftKings lineup at $9,200. He's a very good striker. He does have very good wrestling. Doesn't use it as much as you'd like. He had 3 takedowns in his last fight, but regionally, he didn't have nearly as many takedowns. But he's a well-rounded guy. He's going to beat some of the better people in the division. He likes to keep things technical. He likes to keep the pace how he wants it, and he wants to keep you at bay. But again, he does not score well in DraftKings. 82 points in a fight where he had 3 takedowns is nothing. Right? He should have gotten far more than that. He didn't cover his salary. He's probably not going to cover his salary here either because he's taking on Kleydson Rodrigues. Not only is Kleydson incredibly durable, Kleidson's going to come out. He's going to be aggressive. He's going to stay in your face. He's got really versatile striking. He's going to mix in kicks. He does have power. The biggest issue for Kleydson is his takedown defense sucks. So very clear path for Farid. Get the takedowns, beat him up. Kleydson Rodrigues lost to CJ Vergara, but he showed us how insanely tough he is. He's not the type of guy you're just going to get out of there. He put up 61 points in a loss. In a loss, 61 points. That's absolutely incredible. If you won that fight, you had 30. Now he scored 91 points. The problem was he was a massive favorite in that fight, and then CJ Vergara smoked him. But the reality is he just knocked out Shannon Ross. He's a dangerous guy, good striker. If he comes forward, if he dictates the pace, if he dictates the pressure, and he's got Farid backing up, he can absolutely win this fight. I'm fading Farid. Kleydson, I may actually throw in a couple of lineups as a solid underdog because DraftKings-wise, I think he is a good underdog play, even though I'm very confident in Farid to win. It could be this. You can get 61 points out of a loser spending $7,000. That's actually incredible value there. Then we got Joselyne Edwards taking on UFC newcomer Nora Cornolle. I just want to say Cornhole every time, but that is not her name, and I won't disrespect her like that. Joselyne Edwards taking on Nora Cornolle. Cornolle. Anyway, Joselyne Edwards has played spoiler to prospects in the past. She just did it in her last fight. She just beat Budelova in a sketchy decision. She probably should not have won that fight. She didn't even cover her underdog salary in a win. She scored 65 points in a win. 30 of those points are from the win. So that means she only had 35 points just put on the board regular. I don't think she won that fight, but the reality is she went out there, she fought tough, and the judges gave her that decision. She's a good kickboxer. She uses range well. She's got a nice variety of strikes, but she is going to use her kicks more than anything. If you can get inside and make it dirty, you can break her. But getting inside that range is not easy to do. She is on this nice 3-fight win streak. She does manage range pretty well, but she's got terrible takedown defense. And that was the story of this fight. She was beating Pudilova striking. Her striking and distance control were very, very good. But Pudilova looked at her and was able to take her down. And that will always be the problem for Joselyne Edwards. But talking weigh-ins, she looks spectacular at weigh-in. She looked like the best shape she's ever been in. She's taking on Nora Cornolle. That's definitely not, she's French, not Italian. Anyway, Nora is a violent striker. She does have power. She does have aggression, and she does a really good job using everything. She's going to elbow you if she has you against the cage. She's going to knee you if you're in the clinch. At range, she's going to kick. She's going to punch. She's very, very dangerous. Definitely the more dangerous fighter in this matchup. She doesn't really look to wrestle very often, but when she is on the ground, she's got good BJJ. She will take risks chasing submissions, which can be questionable at times. But the reality is, I think Nora can win this fight. I think Nora will win this fight, but she needs to shoot takedown. She is not going to win this fight strike for strike with Joselyne. Joselyne's going to stay on the outside. She's going to use the kicks to keep range. And Joselyne will win the worst decision or a boring-ass decision. If Nora gets in close, stays violent, gets in her face, is aggressive, gets a takedown or two, Nora can win this fight. I do think Nora wins. $7,900, a lot of money to spend on an untested UFC debut. But I do think she wins, and I may throw her in my lineup. Joselyne, full fade. Full fade. We saw what she did. Joselyne's the favorite here, and we saw how few points she puts up, $8,300. She only put up 65 points in her last fight, and that was a win. 0% chance Joselyne should be in your lineup. Then we got Ange Loosa taking on Rhys McKee. Here we go. Ange Loosa is going to win this fight. Ange Loosa will be in my DraftKings lineup. But let me walk through some of the risks here. First of all, Ange Loosa, powerful striker, athletic striker. He's going to hit you hard. He's going to stay athletic. He can do all the things. He'll pump his jab really, really well. He'll use low kicks. He'll manage range, and he'll get people to back up. He also can wrestle. Look at this. 2 takedowns against AJ Fletcher. AJ Fletcher was supposed to be the wrestler in that matchup. Ange Loosa put up 124 points in this win because A, incredible volume in the strikes, B, some solid control time, and C, 2 takedowns. He was almost out on his feet. Ange Loosa was cracked, was in trouble. And then he said, I need to shoot a takedown to get out of this, and he did. So what does that show us? High fight IQ and the ability to work through adversity. I think Ange Loosa gets this done. $8,800 is an affordable price. He's taking on Rhys McKee. Listen, I'll tell you right now, a lot of these Irish fighters have way too much hype behind them. Like, what has Rhys McKee done for people? Everybody is obsessed with him. I know he's the betting underdog. I know he's the DraftKings underdog. But the amount of comments, you would think if the comment section dictated odds, Rhys McKee would be a minus 1,000 favorite. The comment section is insisting that Rhys is going to get this done. And I get it. He's a long, rangy striker. He's going to hold his ground, piece you up from far away. He does have accuracy. He does have speed. He does have some power as well. He does a nice job touching you up and then running in when he does have openings. He does do a good job avoiding grappling pretty well also. But if you can get the distance and you can get inside of that long range, you can take him down. I mean, this is a tough UFC go. So his first ever fight in the UFC was Chimaev. Not one single strike. No, he did nothing. But that's Chimaev. Got it. No problem. Then he lost to Alex Morono. Alex Morono took him down a bunch of times, controlled the shit out of him. Alex Morono is a good fighter. I'm not going to pretend that Alex Morono is not. But he went in, he pieced him up, took him down. Came in, pieced him up, took him down, and just beat Rhys bell to bell. Rhys did put up decent DraftKings points because he's got volume. But I think Ange Loosa is going to be able to deal with whatever volume, put out his own volume, and then work in takedowns. So I think Ange Loosa gets it done. I like the $8,800. The other issue here for Rhys is Ange Loosa is ridiculously durable. So even at the $7,400, he would have to basically avoid takedowns and fight for 15 minutes to get the win, and then he's not going to get a finish, right? Because Ange Loosa is super, super durable. But again, I'm very high on Ange Loosa here, so take that with a grain of salt. Then we have A couple of UFC debuts. What an absolute surprise we have here. We have Loughran, and he's taking on Taylor Lapilus. Caolan Loughran. This guy's a powerful guy. He's got a wide base. He's going to send kicks. He's going to use all of that power. He's got it in his hands. He does tend to throw everything at 100%. His takedown defense is actually pretty solid. And when he shoots a takedown, they're very good. He will just sprint and run right through you. His problem is he's got that wide stance, which fine, but he's really hesitant. And it just keeps him stationary. He will just literally just stay owning the center and just circling like this, waiting for you to do anything, not letting his hands go, not doing anything. On the regional scene, he's getting these wins. I mean, the guy's undefeated. He's got 7 stoppages on his record, so he doesn't suck, obviously. But he'll stand there, he'll wait, and people will come charging in. He's got the power. He'll full send stuff and give people a hard time. But if you wait, and you stay on the outside and you don't throw a lazy kick, because he's going to catch those, he's going to sprint through you. Even if you don't throw a lazy kick and you can touch him up and you're patient as well, you can beat him. But if you come rushing in, he's got a ton of power, or he'll shoot a takedown, a well-timed takedown. So I totally get why Loughran is the favorite here, but let's not forget, this pricing is bullshit. This pricing was from his original matchup. This was not his original matchup. He wasn't originally fighting Taylor Lapilus. He was originally fighting somebody that he could definitely beat. Somebody that he was far more dangerous than. But DraftKings doesn't adjust the pricing. So do not look at this $9,300 and think that this was what the pricing was when he was supposed to fight Taylor. He's the underdog in this fight. Taylor's the favorite on the sports books. But DraftKings, they locked themselves into the pricing. So I get how he got to this pricing because it was from a previous fight. But that's not his current matchup. He is taking on Taylor Lapilus. Taylor Lapilus had a long stretch in the UFC years ago. So I said he's a UFC debut. We basically have to treat him like a UFC debut. We can't look at, what did he do 9 years ago, 8 years ago? We can't look at that. We have to say this guy has obviously evolved as a fighter. What's he got going on today? But the reality was, when he was in the UFC 8 years ago, the guy went 3-1. And his skill-wise, he's a fantastic kickboxer. He's got incredible footwork. He does a good job working in and out of range. And he comes in for all of his attacks. He's going to come in. He's going to throw a combination. He's going to strike. And then, boom, he's out of that pocket. By the time half these people throw at him, he's already gone. He's already out of that pocket. He does a really good job defending takedowns because he's going to stuff the head. He's going to widen his hips. He's not just going to do these weird pitter-patter strikes. So Taylor Lapilus, this pricing is appropriate, right? They assigned this pricing after this matchup. So he is the slight favorite in this matchup. So $8,600. I think he's worth that. I think he can get it done. I think he can put up some decent numbers. We don't know what Loughran's going to look like. We don't know what type of adversity he's dealt. Like, he hasn't been in trouble before. Taylor's the type of guy that might get him into some trouble. $8,600 seems somewhat affordable, but it is hard to commit to some of these people fighting these UFC debuts, especially somebody like Taylor who hasn't fought in the UFC in a very, very long time. But I think Taylor wins this fight. I think his in and out style, I think his touching up the legs, the circling, the range, I think all of that benefits when he's just fighting a very hesitant Loughran. How do you say some of these freaking names? Then we got, this is straight up no data. We're just going to be looking at flags here. This card, what a pain in the ass this card is. We got Morgan Charriere. It's a pretty name. We got Morgan Charriere, and he's taking on Manolo Zecchini. Morgan Charriere is an explosive striker. He's light on his feet. He stalks his opponents before leaping in and then throwing those big punches and working for control. He does a really good job of being all the way in or all the way out. He's not going to hang out at range. He's going to be way outside where he can control it or way inside where it's a dirty boxing fight. When he's outside, he's going to stalk you. Then he'll leap in. He'll throw punches. When he's inside, he's going to tie you up, throw knees, throw elbows inside that clinch. He's got solid takedown defense, a few takedowns of his own, and really he's just going to get those takedowns in scrambles. He is a dangerous guy. He's a tough guy, but we have seen him make some fight IQ type mistakes. He's taking on Manolo Zecchini. Manolo Zecchini is a fast, powerful guy. He's a good striker. He's got great speed. He's going to send both his left and his right with 100% power. He's a ton of fun to watch because he's always looking for a finish, but he is overextended on his strikes, and that does get him taken down. He's not really a grappler, but he does have good enough BJJ to avoid being submitted. He's got a solid get-up game. He's got decent scramble skills, but he can slow down as the fight goes on. Morgan's the favorite. Morgan should be the favorite. But in order for him to cover that $9,100, he's going to have to get those takedowns. He's going to have to be busy. He's going to have to throw that big power, put Manolo out. The reality is, Manolo's got himself a decent record. He's 4-1 in his last 5. He's got 10 stoppage wins. Morgan Charriere is 3-2 in his last 5. Yes, he's on a 3-fight win streak. I don't know what to do with some of these fights. Morgan should win this fight. Morgan's the favorite, but I'm not insanely confident. Manolo has showed us how dangerous he is. Morgan has showed us that he's got some fight IQ mistakes. I'm probably going to avoid this fight. Now, I need 6 fighters in a lineup, so I can't be ignoring and avoiding everybody, but I'm probably going to avoid this fight. I may throw Morgan in my lineup, but that's a lot of faith in a completely untested UFC debut. Then we have William Gomis taking on Yanis Yamori. I'm going to tell you right now, this is going to be the most boring fight on this card. It just is. These guys are the exact same fighter, and they're not engaging. We have William Gomis. This guy is well-rounded. He can knock you out if he has the opportunity. He can submit you, or he can fight a boring 3-round decision, as he has twice already in the UFC. He's got that solid Muay Thai striking base. He is an opportunistic grappler, meaning if you initiate and you throw something in there, he'll grab something, he'll make something happen, but he's not going to go looking for it. He's incredibly low volume. He's basically a counter striker. He's had 2 fights in the UFC. Both of these went the distance. So he has 30 minutes of cage time. And he is landing less than 2 significant strikes per minute. Look at this. 27 significant strikes landed in 15 minutes. 32 landed in 15 minutes. And that's the problem. He's very low volume. He's waiting to counter. He's waiting for you to do something so he can throw something back. And that's fine if he's fighting somebody aggressive, like a Francis Marshall or a Jarno Aarons. But he's not. He's fighting UFC debut Yanis Gamori. This guy's a pacing striker. This guy also is waiting to counter. He does have nice leg kicks. He will try to own the center, and then he'll try to figure out the range by touching up his opponent's legs. Once he does gauge the range, he will start to commit the strikes. He will start to add some power into that mix. So Yanis has more volume than Gomis, but both of these guys are pretty much counter strikers. When he gets a takedown, he's looking for control. He wants to slow the action. He wants to rack up that time. He's not dangerous, but he is patient. He is technical. He does have good fight IQ. I think he wins this fight. I think Gomis is going to be too gun shy. I think Gomis is going to be waiting too much. And Yanis will just pepper the legs, get the occasional takedown, and potentially squeak out a super close win. Both of these guys are French. No weird homer calls or anything like that. This is going to be the worst fight on the card. Hopefully I'm wrong. I want to be wrong, but this is going to be the worst fight on the card. But Yanis is a very appealing $6,900. You cannot spend that money on Gomis. You cannot spend $8,400 on a guy that put up 80 points in a dominant win and 42 in a sketchy one. You just can't do it. So William Gomis has to be full fade, and if you do like the underdog Gamori, then he may be worth the couple of dollars. Then we have Volkan Ozdemir. You probably have to pick your side here. Whoever wins this fight is going to put up big points. It's a risky play for cash games, but whoever wins this fight is going to put up big points. We got Volkan Ozdemir, $8,600. Pretty affordable for a guy with his resume. Yes, he just lost to Nikita Krylov, but he is a forward pressure striker. He's got legitimate power. He's got good volume. He throws his hands hard. He throws his hands often. He does have absolutely miserable takedown accuracy at 28%. And that can be an issue for him because if he's in a firefight, his chin's not going to hold up. We've seen him get put out multiple times. Yes, he beat Paul Craig, but anybody with submission defense can beat Paul Craig. Anybody. And this is at light heavyweight, not the new beefy middleweight Paul Craig. But look at the loss. These are quality. Krylov's not a bum. Ankalaev is very good. Jiri Prochazka was the freaking champion. He beat Rasik, who's good. He beat Latifi, who's just sort of solid. He did lose to Reyes, but this was when Reyes was actually good. He did lose to Smith, but Smith is good. He lost to Cormier, former champ. I mean, his resume is solid. He's beating everybody he's supposed to beat, essentially, and then losing to the higher-ranked guys. That's basically Volkan Ozdemir's record. The problem is he doesn't have much of a chin, and he is fighting Bogdan Guskov. Here's the reality of this situation. Bogdan Guskov is not the better fighter in this matchup, but The dude has power. He's a heavy-handed guy. He's going to come forward. He's going to throw heavy. He's going to mix things up. When he's striking, he can be fast. He can have that real power. He keeps his hands low, but he has decent footwork and nice combinations. If he does not get the early knockout, or if he doesn't really have the success striking, he's going to work you to the cage and then get a takedown. And then on top, he's very patient. He has good control, and he'll ride you out. The reality is, I do think Bogdan can win this fight. I'll probably have him in my lineup. But if you're doing multiple lineups, you need to have some with Bogdan, some with Volkan. Because the reality is, one of these guys will win by stoppage, and one of them will put up very real numbers. Bogdan's not very good. He's just not. If Volkan stays technical, stays in his face, he can light him up with a jab. But Volkan's chinny, and his takedowns suck. So now we got Bogdan, the younger, the heavy-hitting fighter, who's got decent footwork. And if he can just connect, boom, he wins the fight. So risky, but you got to pick your side. I think whoever wins this fight is going to score really, really well. Then we have Thiago Moises, and he is taking on Benoit Saint-Denis. I get it. Thiago Moises is a very good fighter, okay? He just beat Costa. He beat Gallegos. These are guys he's supposed to beat. And who did he lose to? Joel Alvarez, who everybody says was the world's best. Islam Makhachev, who is quite literally the world's best. But then he's beating people he's supposed to beat. Ismagulov, quality loss. But there's a theme in most of these losses. Dariush could take him down, control him, and not be submitted. Ismagulov can take him down, control him, not be submitted. Makhachev, take him down, control him, not be submitted. Joel Alvarez had insanely dangerous jiu-jitsu, but he didn't need it. And that's the problem here. Thiago Moises does have decent striking. Thiago Moises has decent takedowns. Thiago Moises has very good jiu-jitsu. But if he can't beat you with the jiu-jitsu, that's basically all he has. He's not going to win these fights striking only. Obviously, we have seen him do that against Hernandez here. But this isn't the fight he's going to win striking only, because he's taking on Benoit Saint-Denis. Benoit Saint-Denis is going to come forward, shoot 1,000,000 takedowns, throw 1,000,000 strikes. Shoot 1,000,000 takedowns, throw 1,000,000 strikes. He's got big power in his hands. He is hittable. You can touch up Benoit Saint-Denis. He has a negative striking differential. So he has hit more than he hits his opponents. But I trust Benoit to just stick to a wrestling game plan. And I know Thiago can be taken down. And I know Thiago's not going to be able to submit Benoit. So then we have, the biggest question is, can Benoit Saint-Denis take down Thiago Moises? I think the answer is yes. Then the question becomes, will Thiago Moises submit Benoit Saint-Denis? And I think the answer is no. Thiago Moises will probably be the more technical striker, but he doesn't have the power. Benoit Saint-Denis does have the power. So we have the guy with the more powerful striking, the better wrestling, and the good jiu-jitsu defense. I got to pick that guy 9 out of 10 times. So Benoit Saint-Denis will probably be in my lineup. I bet on him. I have a bet on him at even money, but I did that last week before people really started looking at that. So he is the favorite here in DraftKings, but he is somewhat affordable at 8,500 points. And holy shit, does this guy cover his nut. 105, 136, 115. The only reason he lost the Zaleski fight is because he was getting taken down, and that game plan was pushed onto him. That's not what Thiago Moises is going to do here. So Benoit Saint-Denis will be in my lineup. Co-main event. Listen, pick your side. There's a lot of people insisting Rose Namajunas is going to win this fight. And if you think that, then this is what a bargain you're going to get on her. I like Manon Fiorot here. Manon Fiorot hits very hard. She's a very technical striker, and she works in takedowns in every single one of her fights. So this is supposed to be the great striker. And she is, and she's still working takedowns into every single one of her fights. 2 against Bueno Silva, 2 against Jennifer Maia. These other fights, she had takedowns and still had stoppages. She was able to take down Katlyn Chookagian once. She did look kind of sloppy in this fight, but that's what Katlyn Chookagian does. She somehow manages to bring everybody down to her like in and out, weird paced, weird movement striking style. But Manon was able to hang. Got a late takedown to really lock in that win. Did she score well? No. Does she typically score well? Yes. Right? 88. I would have been a little annoyed. Spent 8,900, got 88. Spent 9,400, got 82. So she doesn't score incredibly well, but we've seen the power as she did with Ricci and Leonardo. But there's caveats here. This was Ricci's first UFC fight, and she stepped up, short notice, hopped in there. Manon Fiorot put her away. She's taking on former champion Rose Namajunas. Rose Namajunas was the 115-pound champion. This fight's at 125 pounds. Already at a disadvantage. She's already smaller. She's not going to be the more technical striker. Maybe she'll be the more well-rounded striker, but Manafaro is technical. Manafaro hits hard. Manafaro uses all of her tools. I think Manafaro wins this fight. I'm on the fence if I spend the money on her because she basically has to finish Rose to be worth that money. This is a 3-round fight, not a 5. And if she's just going to stay on the outside and pick Rose apart, she's not going to be worth that money. But if she engages and she lights her up and drops her, gets the takedowns, does all that, she will be worth that money. Rose Namajunas did what most people cannot do. She became the champion. Defended the belt. She lost the belt to Andrade when Andrade dumped her on her head, and then she won it back. And then she knocked out Wei Li, and then she defended it against Wei Li. That is actually, this run right here is spectacular. And I don't want to take anything away from it. This is a spectacular beat at the time, the women's division GOAT, then lost, avenged that loss, and then beat who may end up becoming the division's GOAT. It's absolutely incredible what she was able to do. But then she came out, she stared at Carla Esparza for 25 minutes in the worst fight in history. Look at it, 25-minute fight, landed 37 shots. Worst fight in history. Then she did a grappling match against Jillian Robertson, who's mediocre, was sloppy as shit, taken down, submitted almost instantly. Very, very poor outing. So I think Rose Namajunas loses. I think this last year for her has been bad. Just this fight sucked. The grappling match sucked. She's going up in weight. I love Rose. I love what she's accomplished. I think she has too much going on up here, and we're going to see what she looks like. But I like Manafaro to win. It's up to you if you're going to spend the money because you're really going to need a lot of takedowns or a finish for her to be worth that $8,900 price point. Then we have the main event of the evening. This is another pick your side fight because I totally get why Ciryl Gane is the favorite. We all know he's got the best striking in the heavyweight division. Everybody knows that, including John Jones, which is why he took him down almost immediately. Everybody knows that. But he can't defend a takedown. He cannot defend the takedown. Francis Ngannou took him down several times. John Jones took him down twice and submitted him. Ciryl Gane cannot defend a takedown. Nobody tried to take him down before that. These are all strikers. So nobody's tried to take him down in the past. The two people who did try to take him down did take him down, and they both beat him. He's fighting Sergey Spivac, a big Russian grappler. This guy wants to come forward. He wants to drag you to the ground, and then when he does, his control actually sucks, but then when he does, he's going to wear on you. He's going to lay on you. He's going to bring you back down, hit you, try to submit you. Bring you back down, hit you, try to submit you. Sergey Spivac is a big guy who's just going to come forward, stay in your face, try to work the takedowns. If I did not see this Olenek fight, I would put my life saving on Sergey Spivac to win this fight. But I did see it, and that might be the sloppiest fight in the history of the heavyweight division. Like, literally, the worst fight. I mean, Sergey Spivac looked bad. But that was 2 years ago. Yeah, he lost to Tom Aspinall after that, but who doesn't? I mean, he did absolutely fucking nothing. Zero everything. Who doesn't? But then he beat Greg Hardy. Then he beat Augusto Sakai. Then he beat Derek Lewis. The only issue here is he needed 6 takedowns to beat Sakai. 6 takedowns to beat Derek Lewis. Yes, he submitted. He finished. I get all that, but you shouldn't need that many takedowns. I personally think Sergey Spivac wins. But I'm not. That's not a hill I'm going to die on. If you say, hey, I think the best heavyweight striker in the division is going to outstrike a mediocre striker with decent takedowns, then he should be in your lineup. I'm not going to fight you on that. I'm going to have Spivac. If you have multiple entries going on, you should have one in each, right? You should definitely be playing both sides of this because this is another. If Sergey Spivac wins this fight, he's going to score incredibly well, as we've seen. 114, 136, 134. But if Ciryl Gane wins this fight, could go any direction, right? He beat Tuivasa, only put up 100 points in a finish. Not even, 99. But I do think that Ciryl, if you're spending $8,700 and he wins, can be worth the money. His dancing around, that in and out, he doesn't have the big one-punch power. It's really touch, go, touch, go. Totally get it, but he is affordable, $8,700, if you buy into the fact that he's the best heavyweight striker and he will win this fight. Guys, that is the breakdown. Become a premium member. It's not a coincidence that our premium members have put up $262,000 in winnings over the last 3 months. That is not an accident. That is not a coincidence. They have access to the best DraftKings ownership projections in the game. They have access to the detailed breakdowns for all of the fighters you should put in your cash core, you should put in your GPP core. They have access to the cheat sheet, which is populated every Friday afternoon. And they have access to the optimizer, which will build lineups for you. Become a premium member. It is only $10 a month. Just go to WeWantPicks.com, click become a member at the top.